Hi, welcome to Leby. Hope you're enjoying the system so far. This video is going to give you a very brief introduction to the core parts of Leadbyte. This will help you with your setup, and it'll also help you learn more about the terminology used for moving forward when you're creating your campaigns, deliveries, etc. Now, when you first log in, you'll see these pop-ups. These are kind of on-screen journeys, so I would highly recommend that you do follow these because it will help you with setup. The core features or the fundamentals of Leadbyte, you will see these dotted around the system. If you don't have time right now or right away as soon as you log in, you can remind yourself later here and it will then reactivate. Or alternatively, if you cross this off, go here, go to guided tours here, and then anything related to that page or section that has a flow will be shown there. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. So the first thing you need to do is create a campaign. Your campaigns are here. Think of a campaign as a bucket. So leads come into Leadbyte, they'll sit in a campaign. So that's basically the home for the leads. So that needs to be created first. It's very straightforward to do that as well. So it's manage campaign. You can simply create a campaign very quickly by adding a campaign, giving it a name. I'm just going to go test. Are you buying and or selling leads? So if I'm buying or selling leads, I'm going to select yes. And I want to pay the supplier out or mark the lead as sold when the delivery has been accepted. So I've delivered the lead to the buyer. So I'm going to mark it as that. And then down here, I can simply hit save and continue to fields. That's it. That's your campaign created. Now, the next important part is setting your fields. So we've created some standard fields here, so commonly used fields. And then you've got your custom fields here. So you'll be using the labels here on the left-hand side, or these labels. So you've got the database field name or the label field. And down here, you've got all your custom fields. So it's very important that when you create your campaign and set the fields, that you add all your custom fields. So these can be any question or any data that you would like to store in Leadbyte. So one example here. What time is best to call? What time does your policy end, etc. So simply add them there and then hit save and then you're good to go. So it's as simple as that, creating a campaign. Very straightforward, very easy. So now the campaign then is ready to receive leads. The next step would be suppliers. Now suppliers, you could basically sources. So it could be if you're working with affiliates, it could be the affiliate name, the supplier name, or alternatively, if you're generating your own leads, it could be Facebook, Google, etc. Again, this is your preference. You may not want to track the source or the supply of the leads, which is completely fine. You don't need to. This is an option. This is optional, but we find if you do track the source of your leads, you'll be able to then run reports based on where they've come from. So it might be beneficial for you there. So to do that, it's very simply add a new supplier. Add a new supplier here, manual quick, enter a name, hit save. That's it. That's your supplier created. And then the key element there is your SID. So that's a supplier ID. And that will, over the next step, when we generate an integration guide, we'll show you why that's important and where to add that. So you create your suppliers, then your buyers. Think of the buyers, the way you create it is exactly the same as the way you create your suppliers, but this is more for the buyer side so outbound leads rather than inbound leads. Now, you would create your buyer, which is simply adding the name of the buyer and then hitting save, which is then assigned a bid, which is a buyer ID. Now, you would create a delivery. The delivery is how we send the lead out of Leadbyte. So that could be via the API, via email, SMS, and then what you do on the delivery is assign a buyer to that delivery. So if I created one API delivery and one email delivery, they could potentially be the same buyer. So I would just make sure I add the buyer, assign the buyer on the delivery once they've been created. But again, it could be multiple different buyers. So create your buyer and then you create the delivery. So that's the buyer. So that if we go to your how to get leads into Leadbyte, you would generate an integration guide. Now there's two different methods here. So you've got the get API, which is a simple form post. So for example, I just select the campaign, select the supplier, and then select the fields I want to capture in Leadbyte. Now, once you've done that, you've got your additional fields down here as well. So these will be your custom questions. You can open the guide, and this is shareable URL. So you can take that URL and give it to your supplier, or you take that information and add it to your form builder, or you can send the guide via email, and that can go to as many people as you like. So you can see the difference here. So you've got your form post, so the URL. Some people call that webhook as well. And then going back to the supplier, you can see in there SID equals 10. So that will tag the supplier that you've selected here when the lead comes in, or the source. And then you've got obviously all your additional fields here where they would replace the dynamic tags with the data that comes in. So that is what I would advise for any straightforward lead in, lead out kind of processes. Now, we've got another option, which is optimize REST API. So this is JSON post. This is one method we always try and push more because it is a bit more secure and you've got more functionality when using this. So when you select the REST API, you select the campaign again, and either select the supplier, and then each supplier would have an API key assigned to it. But if you don't want to add a source, simply deselect and then select a key here. All your keys can be created under admin, tech hub, REST API there. Once that's done, same rule applies here. You have your layout there. So what I'm going to do is just select a key, open the guide. So you can just see the method is changed to JSON. It's a different URL. The body's set up differently, and the key needs to be added within a header. So it's a bit more technical than your standard form post, but they're the two options to get your leads in. Now, go over to your deliveries and then add a delivery. Again, I'm just going to quickly name this test. Trigger. 99% of the time, it'll be when a lead arrives, and the campaign, select the campaign. Now the action is going to be the method in which you choose to send the leads out. So direct post will be all your APIs, that email, ping post, store lead, SMS, etc. So you've got a couple of methods there. If you want to learn any more about each of the methods, two-step example, you can look in our help center and I'll give you more information. But let's just say I want to do a quick API delivery. So it'll be direct post, and then your format. So let's just type in here, generic form post, JSON post, is all within the remote system section there. The URL goes in there. Previously I mentioned when you created your buyer, so you add the buyer here, you enter how much they're paying you per lead. If you're looking at using buyer credit, that can be selected here. You've got your cap, you've got your fields for mapping, Leadbyte fields, your buyer fields, any headers, the schedule, and one of the most important parts that our clients use this for is the rules. So you can set up rules, which means only trigger this delivery if, say, postcode is within this area. So that's one example. So you select the field, is not, and then you can either paste in a list, or you can if it's a single option, just enter the single option in there. You'll enter the success code here. So when we submit a lead to a buyer, what are we looking for in order for it to be marked as a successful lead. Once you've done that, you can hit test, save, and then it's ready to be enabled. So that is a quick 10-minute video showing you the fundamentals of Leadbyte. One other quick thing is under here, you've got your lead search screen, which will show you all leads received within a time period and whether they've been sold or unsold. If you're submitting leads in and you can't see them on the lead screen, check your system rejections here, and the system rejection on the right hand side will show you why they've been rejected. So this could be missing email, missing a field, wrong data submitted into a field again. So always check your lead screen for successful leads come in, and then system rejections for any ones that have been potentially been rejected. But yeah, as mentioned, that's the overview of the video and the process. Any questions, the team are there for you. So you'll have your initial onboarding for 2 weeks with one of the customer success managers, where you can come back to the ticket as and when with any questions, and they'll come back to you with their advice. You've also got the option down here to ask Buster AI, so you can ask them anything. So for example, how do I create a buyer? And then Buster AI will take a look into our guides, so the help center, and pull the relevant information, then populate it there for you with links to any additional articles. But it will try and break it down, saves you having to filter through all articles. So this is a very useful tool that we find our customers are using heavily and benefiting from. But if you still can't find the answer you need, you can go to raise a support ticket here, and that will take you to this help section. You can search a knowledge base or raise a ticket in the bottom right.